CQ calling all radio amateurs and listeners. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain. This broadcast comes to you live from amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire, transmitting on 3650 kHz AM. Welcome and thank you for joining us. It's Sunday the 28th of April and here is the GB2RS news broadcast. It was prepared for you by the RSGB and it's provided for all radio amateurs and listeners. And you can also find this bulletin on the RSGB website at rsgb.org, and you'll find that along with links to groups and organisations that may be mentioned in this broadcast. This week's news headlines. New mock papers for amateur radio licence exams have been published. A revised amateur radio examination syllabus has been released. The video review of 2023 by President John McCulloch, Golf India 4 Bravo Whiskey Mike, is now on the RSGB website. And MFJ announces manufacturing closures for MFJ, Ameritron, Highgain, Cushcraft, Mirage and Vectronic. We'll have more on those items a little later in the news, but first, the RSGB Exam Syllabus Review Group has published a new set of mock papers covering the three amateur licence exams, Foundation, Direct and Full. These add to those already available. They're each marked as Mock Exam Paper 3, and you can find them on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/mock-exams. And the new amateur radio licence was launched a few weeks ago, and because of the changes, the examination syllabus has also been revised and is now version 1.6 for use in exams later in the year. Compared to version 1.5, which is still in use, only section 1 has seen major changes, and this is the licensing and station identification section. In section 7, which is operating practices and procedures, there were some minor changes, for example regarding call sign suffixes. And exams will start using the new version 1.6 of the syllabus from the 1st of September 2024. RSGB President John McCulloch, Golf India 4 Bravo Whiskey Mike, was recently videoed at the Ofcom Spectrum Management Centre in Baldock, Hertfordshire, where he reviewed the many positive activities, events and achievements of the RSGB throughout 2023. He also spoke about the Society's priorities in raising our publicity in mainstream media and in protecting our spectrum. He gave the example of RSGB microwave manager Barry Lewis, Golf 4 Sierra Juliet Hotel, who led the IARU team responsible for defending amateur use of the 23 centimetre band at the World Radio Conference. You can now watch that video on the RSGB YouTube channel. The URL is youtube.com/theRSGB, and the RSGB is all one word. Regional Representative 10, Keith Bird, Golf 4 Juliet Echo Delta, was elected as chair at the April Regional Forum meeting, and Regional Representative 3, Martin Bell, Mike 0 Tango Echo Bravo, was elected as secretary. They'll both volunteer in these roles until the 2025 AGM, and you can find contact details for both Keith and Martin on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/regions. Now, an event promoting activity on the 145 MHz FM band, popularly known as the 145 Alive series, will take place on the 11th of May between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. The event and the supporting Facebook group was started by Tim, Golf 5 Tango Mike, and from the start of 2024 has been organised by Mark, Mike 0 X-Ray India Charlie, and John, Mike 0 X-Ray Juliet Alpha. The last successful event took place in January this year, when over 30 nets operated simultaneously across England, Scotland, Wales and Northern and Southern Ireland. Over 900 contacts took place, with many amateurs operating portable, mobile or from their club or home location. If you'd like to take part and find out more about the event and 145 Alive in general, then join the 145 Alive Facebook group. If you'd like to run a net on the 11th of May, contact Mark, Mike 0 X-Ray India Charlie, or John, Mike 0 X-Ray Juliet Alpha, via the Facebook group. Mills on the Air Weekend 2024 is coming up on Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th of May. The event takes place across the UK every May, with more than 300 windmills and watermills usually taking part. You can find more information. You can also register and view a list of registered stations on the event's website, which I'll spell for you phonetically. It's Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra .net/Mills, which is Mike India Lima Lima Sierra Hotel Tango Mike Lima. The RAF Air Cadets are pleased to announce that they're again running the ever-popular Blue Ham radio communications exercises in June. They're held on the 60-metre band, and the exercise takes place from the 17th to the 21st of June. If you hold a full licence, the Blue Ham team hopes that you can put some time aside to join in with the cadets and staff who'll be ready to take your calls. The Blue Ham team will issue you with a participation certificate if you contact 20 or more special Mike Romeo Echo call signs over the period of the exercise. For more information, you can visit the event's website, which is Alpha Charlie. That's actually the words Alpha and Charlie, so alphacharlie.org.uk. And please note that only full licensees may operate on the 60-metre band. South Bristol Amateur Radio Club is running a free online foundation licence course in May. If you're interested in taking part and want to find out more, you can email training@sbarc.co.uk. That's Sierra Bravo Alpha Romeo Charlie.co.uk. And when you do so, please include your name, postal address and date of birth. And please also mention which weekday evenings and times you'd find the most appropriate. The weekday evening that course will take place on will then be decided by the majority preference. Now, news of MFJ Enterprises, who have announced in a letter to its customers that it will end production at its premises in Starkville, Mississippi on the 17th of May 2024. The news also applies to the company's sister groups, which are Ameritron, Highgain, Cushcraft, among others. MFJ Enterprises has been in business for 52 years, and it will continue to sell its existing stock after the 17th of May, and it will also continue to offer a repair service for out-of-warranty and in-warranty units for the foreseeable future. Well, now we move on to details of rallies and events. The Lochern Amateur Radio Club's 40th annual radio rally is due to take place on Sunday the 5th of May. The venue will be the Share Discovery Village, which you'll find at 221 Linnesky Road. That's in Linnesky, Enniskillen. The postcode is Bravo Tango 920 Juliet Zulu. The event will feature food and drink, bring and buy, RSGB bookstall, the QSL Bureau and the usual variety of traders. The doors will open at 11 a.m. and traders are asked to arrive around 9 a.m. Admission, which includes a ticket for the prize draw, will cost £5 or €5. And if you want more information, you can contact Alan. His email address is, I'll spell this phonetically, Alpha Romeo Golf Alpha Uniform Lima Tango 91 @gmail.com, and that you can arrange booking a table through him. Thorpe Camp Hamfest will also take place on Sunday the 5th of May at Thorpe Camp Visitor Centre. That's in Tattersall, Thorpe in Lincolnshire, and the postcode is Lima November 4 for Papa Lima. Traders are asked to arrive no earlier than 7 a.m. and the doors will open to the public for buyers at 9 a.m. and the entrance fee is £5 per person. The Retrotech UK event will be held on Sunday the 12th of May. That will be at the Sports Connection on Leamington Road in Ryton-on-Dunsmore near Coventry, and the postcode is Charlie Victor 8 3 Foxtrot Lima. The doors will open at 10:30 a.m. with an entry fee of £10. A fee of £25 applies for early doors entry at 9 a.m. This is an annual event organised by the British Vintage Wireless Society. There'll be almost 200 dealer stalls, clubs and private sellers. Everyone's welcome to come along and enjoy the wide range of retro equipment. For more information, you can email info@retrotechuk.com. That's Romeo Echo Tango, Romeo Oscar Tango, Echo Charlie Hotel, Uniform Kilo.com, or you can visit the retrotechuk.com website. Now we have the special event news. Special call sign Sierra Zulu 0, Whiskey Alpha Romeo Delta is in use by the Radio Amateur Association of Greece, and that's in celebration of World Amateur Radio Day, and they'll be operating until the 30th of April. Look for activity on all bands using SSB, Morse code and digital modes, and you can QSL via the Bureau and Logbook of the World. For details of an award that's available, have a look at the following web address, and I'll spell it phonetically for you. It's Sierra Victor 2 Romeo Charlie Kilo .Golf Romeo / Sierra Zulu 0 Whiskey Alpha Romeo Delta. Now, also in celebration of World Amateur Radio Day, a special call sign Tango Charlie 3 Whiskey Romeo Delta will be active until the 30th of April. You can QSL via Logbook of the World, and for details of a certificate that's available, see the following web address. It's Tango Alpha Delta X-Ray .Oscar Romeo Golf / awards. And the station was spotted recently on the 40-meter band using FT8. Now, today is the last chance for you to work special event station Golf Bravo 6 Whiskey, which is active from Glasgow. That's to commemorate the end of the Second World War. If you've made contacts with Golf Bravo 6 Whiskey on 3 or more bands, then you're eligible to apply for an award. And to apply, you need to send an email to Golf Bravo 6 Whiskey at Foxtrot Tango 8.Mike Echo, and send details of your contacts. Please include your call sign, dates of the contacts and the bands on which they occurred. There's no application fee, and once your contacts have been verified, the PDF award will be emailed to you. And now we have the DX news. Jeff Kilo 5 Whiskey Echo and Craig Whiskey 5 Charlie Papa are active as Tango X-Ray 7 Whiskey. That's from Riva V, which is IOTA reference Oscar Charlie 114, and that's located in the Austral Islands group, and they'll be active until the 30th of April. They're operating using mainly Morse code and FT8 with some SSB, RTTY and FT4. They're operating on the 160 to 6 meter bands. You can QSL via Club Log's OQRS, which is the preferred method, but it's also available via Logbook of the World or directly to Kilo 5 Whiskey Echo. And depending on how reliable the internet connection is, logs will be uploaded to Club Log daily, and Club Log's live stream will be enabled. For more information and to see updates, go to the event website, which is kilo5whiskey.com / Tango X-Ray 7 Whiskey. Listen out also for a group of 13 Cam Hams, which is active from the Isle of Mull. That's IOTA reference Echo Uniform 008. They're operating as Golf Sierra 3 Papa Yankee Echo, and they'll be active until the 3rd of May. The team is active on the 80 to 10 meter bands as well as via the QO100 satellite. You can QSL via Club Log's OQRS, and you can read a report of the team's previous visits to the island in 2015 at tinyurl.com / Mull2015. That's Mike Uniform Lima 2015, all as one word. Well, now we move across to the contest news, and a full calendar of events today for you. The UK and Ireland DXCW contest started at 1200 UTC on Saturday the 27th, and it ends at 1200 UTC today, the 28th of April. Using Morse code on the 80 to 10 meter bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is signal report and serial number. UK and Ireland stations also send their district code. The Sierra Papa DX RTTY contest started at 1200 UTC on the 27th and ends at 1200 UTC today, the 28th of April. Using RTTY on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is signal report and serial number, and Polish stations will also send their province code. The MGM contest started at 1400 UTC on the 27th of April and it ends at 1400 UTC today, the 28th. Using machine-generated modes on the 6 and 2 metre bands, the exchange is your report and 4-character locator. Today, the 28th, it's the British Amateur Radio Telegroup Sprint 75 contest, which runs from 1700 to 2100 UTC. Using 75-bound RTTY on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is your serial number. On Monday the 29th, it's the FT4 series contest, which runs from 1900 to 2030 UTC. This contest uses FT4 on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, and the exchange is your report. On Wednesday the 1st of May, the 144 MHz FT8 activity 4-hour contest runs from 1700 to 2100 UTC. Using FT8 on the 2 metre band, the exchange is report and 4-character locator. And also on Wednesday the 1st, it's the 144 MHz FT8 activity 2-hour contest, and that runs from 1900 to 2100 UTC. Using FT8 on the 2 metre band, the exchange is report and 4-character locator, and as usual, stations entering the 4-hour contest may also enter the 2-hour contest. On Saturday the 4th, it's the 432 MHz trophy contest, and that runs from 1400 to 2000 UTC. Using all modes on the 70 centimetre band, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. The 432 MHz to 245 GHz contest starts at 1400 UTC on Saturday the 4th and ends at 1400 UTC on Sunday the 5th of May. Using all modes on bands from 432 MHz up to 245 GHz, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. The UK 6 metre group's summer marathon starts at 0000 UTC on Saturday the 4th of May and ends at 23:59 UTC on Sunday the 4th of August. Using all modes on the 6 metre band, the exchange is your 4-character locator. The ARI International DX contest starts at 1200 UTC on Saturday the 4th of May and ends at 11:59 UTC on Sunday the 5th of May. Using Morse code, RTTY and SSB on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is signal report and serial number, and Italian stations will also send their province. On Sunday the 5th, it's the UK Microwave Group low band contest that runs from 0800 to 1400 UTC. Using all modes on the 1.3 to 3.4 GHz bands, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. And also on Sunday the 5th, the UK Microwave Group millimetre wave contest runs from 0900 to 1700 UTC. Using all modes on the 24, 47 and 76 GHz bands, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. On Sunday the 5th, it's the Worked All Britain 7 MHz phone contest. That runs from 1000 to 1400 UTC. Using SSB on the 40 metre band, the exchange is signal report, serial number and Worked All Britain square. Well, now we have the radio propagation report, and this was compiled by Golf 0 Kilo Yankee Alpha, Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha and Golf 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar on Thursday the 25th. We had another week with plenty of sunspots, and HF conditions were quite good in the second half. Earlier though, the KP index reached 3 and 4, which didn't help maximum usable frequencies, or MUFs for short. For example, on Sunday the 21st, the KP index rose to 4, and the maximum usable frequency over a 3,000 kilometre path remained stubbornly below 21 MHz until later in the morning. This could have been due to a coronal hole on the Sun's equator, which added to the solar wind. By Wednesday, conditions were nearly back to normal, with a KP index below 2 and a maximum usable frequency of more than 24 MHz. By Thursday, the improvement had continued, giving us a maximum usable frequency of more than 28 MHz by 0900 UTC. There have been many reports of 10 meter band DX being worked, including Sebastian, Foxtrot Kilo 4 Alpha X-ray, and Pat, Foxtrot Kilo 8 Hotel Alpha. They're in New Caledonia in the Pacific on SSB, and Sebastian has just got his license and is keen to work UK stations who are DX to him. And that shows that it's worth keeping an eye on the Morse code and SSB portions of the 10 meter band, which can often throw up pleasant surprises. Next week, NOAA predicts that the solar flux index will decline to around 160. The KP index is predicted to be around 2 to 3, but that may be wishful thinking. There are 16 active regions visible on the Sun's surface, and anything could happen. Only minor C-class and M-class flares have occurred recently, but as we always say, it wouldn't take much for those to turn into an X-class event. So make the most of the quiet geomagnetic conditions while we have them, and by the time you read or hear this, we could once again have very unsettled conditions indeed. And now we move across to the VHF and up propagation news, and this was put together by Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha and Golf 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar. The cold, unsettled weather will ease its grip over the last few days of the week, ending the 28th of April, but only because the whole area of low pressure is moving across the country this weekend. Low pressure remains close by for much of the following week, and only a hesitant return of high pressure west of Ireland will improve things for Western Britain at the end of the week. The result is a chance of tropo for Western Britain next week, but it will probably be of limited quality, since it's likely to form in cold, dry air across any temperature inversion. The remaining option in such weather patterns is primarily rain scatter for those on the gigahertz bands, and the many online weather radar displays can be used to highlight the areas of heaviest rain. We're past the peak of the Lyrids meteor shower, but the Eta Aquarids, with a zenithal hourly rate of 50, peaks next Sunday the 5th around 2100 UTC. Until then, you can rely upon random activity, which tends to be better around dawn. The Sun has been more active again recently, so monitor the clusters and KP index for signs of geomagnetic activity and the chance of aurora if the KP index exceeds 5. Sporadic E tends to produce a few early examples in May ahead of its June peak. Check the DX clusters late during the afternoon or early evening, as openings can be very brief early in the season. Start on the 10 meter bands, and if short skip within Europe is present, move up to the 6 meter band. Digital modes are more sensitive, so check FT8 reports to give clues as to where the chances are greatest. For moon bounce operators or EME operators, the moon is at minimum declination today, Sunday the 28th, and that means that we'll have short moon windows to start the coming week. Path losses are falling, but perigee, which is when the moon is at its closest point, is still over a week away. 144 MHz sky noise is high this weekend, ending the 28th of April, but it does fall to low by the end of the coming week. And that's all from the propagation team this week. We now move across to local news, and please note the details of all RSGB affiliated clubs and societies can be found on the RSGB website, and that includes email addresses and website links where we know them. Well, we'll start off with news for the Midlands. Meetings of the Bolsover Amateur Radio Society take place on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month. They start at 8 p.m. and they're held in the Bainbridge Hall in Bolsover, and the postcode is Sierra 446 Papa X-ray. Bromsgrove and District Amateur Radio Club meets every Friday from 8 p.m. Members also have a regular coffee morning on Wednesdays in the club shack from 10:30 a.m. On Monday and Wednesday evenings there are nets on 145.375 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Burton Amateur Radio Club has open nets around 145.575 MHz at 10 AM on Sundays and 8 PM on Thursdays. On Monday there'll be slow Morse code exercises on 14.055 MHz from 11 AM, and the club meets every Wednesday at 7:30 PM. Central Radio Amateur Circle has a net on 145.575 MHz from 7:30 PM on Tuesday and from 12 PM on Saturday. The group will be having a Google meeting at 7 PM on Wednesday. Cheltenham Amateur Radio Association has daily nets on 145.400 MHz at 8:10 AM, and on Tuesday they have a slow Morse code session on 3540 kHz and up from 8 PM. Wednesday sees a net via the Golf Bravo 3 Golf Charlie repeater from 8 PM. Then on Friday there'll be a net on 144.350 MHz from 8 PM, and for more information you can visit the club's website, which is golf5bravokilo.uk. Dudley and District Amateur Radio Society meets every Tuesday from 6 to 10 PM. They meet at the Wrighton Mill, which is on 59 Vale Street, Upper Gornal in Dudley, and the postcode is Delta Yankee 3 X-Ray Foxtrot. Gloucester Amateur Radio and Electronic Society has an informal net every day on 145.475 MHz FM at 3:30 PM. On Wednesday they have a net from 7:30 PM on 145.475 MHz FM, and Thursday sees another net from 7:30 PM on 145.475 MHz FM, moving to 80 meters SSB later on. On Friday they have a net on 432.220 MHz SSB from 7:30 PM. On Wednesday, Hinckley Amateur Radio and Electronic Society will be meeting at Burbage Infant School. Kettering and District Amateur Radio Society has a breakfast meeting from 10 AM on Sundays, and on Tuesday there's a club meeting from 7 PM. Thursday sees a net on 145.300 MHz from 7 PM. On Monday, Leicester Radio Society will be meeting at its headquarters and via Zoom from 7:30 PM. Then on Thursday they have a club meeting which starts at 10 AM. Lincoln Shortwave Club will be meeting at the BSA Village Hall from 7:30 PM on Wednesday and from 9:30 AM on Saturday. On Thursday there'll be a net via Golf Bravo 3 Lima Sierra or on 145.350 MHz if the repeater isn't available. For more information visit the club's website, which is golf5foxtrotzulu.co.uk. On the 5th and 6th of May, the Lincolnshire Raynet will be running special event station Golf Bravo 4 November Lima India. That's in support of SOS Radio Week and celebrates 200 years of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. With the kind permission from the station's management and East Lindsey District Council, the radio station will be located adjacent to the lifeboat station in Skegness in Lincolnshire. The station will be active on the 40 and 20 metre bands using SSB and on the 2 metre and 70 centimetre bands using FM. And the expected hours of operation will be approximately between 9 AM and 4 PM local time. Loughborough and District Amateur Radio Club meets on Tuesdays from 7:30 PM. On Wednesday, Malvern Radio Amateur Club has a net on 145.350 MHz from 8 PM. On Wednesday, Midland Amateur Radio Society is running training classes and holding an open meeting. On Thursday, Northampton Radio Club is meeting at the Grangewood Club from 8 PM, and for more information visit their website, which is northamptonradioclub.co.uk, and that's all one word, Northampton Radio Club. On Monday, Nunsfield House Amateur Radio Group is having a shack night and club net on 145.300 MHz from 8 PM. Then on Friday, the group is meeting online to discuss end-fed half-wave antennas. On Monday, RAF Waddington Amateur Radio Club has a net on 145.325 MHz from 7:30 PM. They have Morse code practice at 8 PM on 144.085 MHz on Wednesday, and on Friday the club will be meeting at the Pie Wipe, and that's from 8 PM. Rugby Amateur Transmitting Society has weekday nets at 8:30 a.m. on 144.275 MHz USB. Training and practice Morse code nets take place on Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. on 144.275 MHz, initially using USB, then moving across to Morse code. The Society will be meeting from 8 p.m. on Tuesday and from 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Borton Lee 12th Rugby Scouts Hut. Then on Friday there's a net from 8 p.m. on 1913 kHz. Salop Amateur Radio Society is meeting on Thursday. That's to listen to a talk by Golf 8 Delta India Romeo and Mike 5 Lima Mike Golf on the subject of remote operating. For more information you can visit the club's website, which is salopradiosociety.org, and Salop Radio Society is all one word. On Thursdays, Solihull Amateur Radio Society has a net around 145.450 MHz from 8 p.m. South Birmingham Radio Society has open club nights on Fridays from 7:30 p.m. Visitors are welcome to attend the Society's Tuesday coffee morning from 10:30 a.m. On Tuesday, South Derbyshire and Ashby Wolds Amateur Radio Group has an open net on 144.225 MHz from 7 p.m. Members are also having a club evening from 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And Friday sees a net on 70.425 MHz from 7 p.m. On Monday, South Normanton, Alfreton and District Amateur Radio Club is having a natter night, and on Tuesday the club has its net around 145.450 MHz from 7 p.m. On Sundays, Stafford and Districts Amateur Radio Society has a net on 145.375 MHz, that's from 8 p.m. And on Wednesdays members meet at the Wildwood Community Centre, also from 8 p.m. Stourbridge and District Amateur Radio Society meets at the Norton Snooker Club from 8 p.m. on Mondays. Also on Monday, Stratford upon Avon and District Radio Society has its net on 145.275 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Telford and District Amateur Radio Society is holding its committee meeting from 8 p.m. Wolverhampton Amateur Radio Society meets every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Wednesfield and Woodend British Legion. On Sundays there's a net around 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. and for more information visit wolverhamptonars.co.uk or at wolvesars on social media. On Tuesday, Withell Radio Club will be meeting at Withell House from 7:30 p.m. Now we move on to news for the South East and for East Anglia. On Wednesday, Bishop Stortford Amateur Radio Society has its net from 8 p.m. on 145.5625 MHz, and everyone's welcome to join in. Bracknell Amateur Radio Club has its net via the Golf Bravo 3 Bravo November repeater. That starts at 5 p.m. on Sundays, and then Wednesday sees a net on 145.375 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Tuesday, Braintree and District Amateur Radio Society has a net via the Golf Bravo 3 Bravo Zulu repeater from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Bromley and District Amateur Radio Society has a net starting on 145.500 MHz from 9 p.m. The Society is also running an intermediate course at its usual meeting place, which is the Victory Social Club in Hayes. Those training courses will take place on 3 Sundays. That's the 12th of May, the 26th of May and the 9th of June. An exam will be held on the afternoon of the 9th of June, and there are still a few spaces left on the course. Foundation licence holders who would like to join the course can send in a request via the Society's website. For more information and to submit your request, go to the website, which I'll spell phonetically. It's Bravo Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra .wordpress.com. Burnham Beeches Radio Club has its net from 10:30 a.m. on Sundays, starting on 145.500 before moving across to 145.275 MHz. Bury St Edmunds Amateur Radio Society meets at the Ruffham Tower Museum on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. It's a small but very active club, and there are club nets every day of the week except Sunday. You can find details on the club's website, which is Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk, and the club's general chat frequencies are 144.7375 MHz FM and 433.400 MHz FM. On Sundays, Chelmsford Amateur Radio Society has a Morse code net on 144.060 MHz. That's from 8 p.m. Then on Monday, they have a Morse class from 7:30 p.m. around 3542 kHz, and that's followed at 8:15 p.m. by GB2CW slow Morse transmissions, which you'll find on 3555 kHz. Then on Tuesday, they have an open net via Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha, that's from 8 p.m. And on Thursday, there'll be another Morse code class via Skype, this is from 7 p.m. On Tuesday, Chippenham and District Amateur Radio Club is meeting for a video night, and for more information visit chippenhamradio.club. On Tuesday, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club has a net on 433.400 MHz from 7 p.m. and on 1.920 MHz lower sideband from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, they have an open net around 145.350 MHz from 7 p.m. and on Thursday, the net is on 3.685 MHz from 7 p.m. Then on Friday, they have an open DX net. That's held on 14.125 MHz with assistance on 145.350 MHz, and that starts at 2:30 p.m. Now, due to the recent success of its first fast-track one-day foundation training course, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club is running another course on the 11th of May. The course will cover all of the foundation syllabus, and at the end of the day it will finish with an examination which will either be online or on paper, so candidates can leave knowing their result. During the course, the instructors also give practical demonstrations including operation, setting up a station, and mode and signal appreciation. So if you'd like to apply to be on the course, please email training@G3CO, that's Golf 3 Charlie Oscar .uk, or you can email secretary@G3CO.uk. On Sundays, Coulsdon Amateur Transmitting Society has nets on 145.4 MHz from 11 a.m. and on 3.700 MHz from 5 p.m. On Wednesday, they have a net around 70.425 MHz, which kicks off at 9 p.m. Crawley Amateur Radio Club will be meeting from 11 a.m. on Sunday and 8 p.m. on Wednesday and 2 p.m. on Friday. Cray Valley Radio Society's 2-metre and 4-metre FM nets are held on 145.350 MHz on Sundays at 10 a.m. and on 70.425 MHz on Fridays at 8 p.m. They have a top band SSB net which moves across to AM. That's held on the first Monday of each month around 1.905 MHz from 8 p.m. Everyone's welcome to call in, and the Society will be meeting on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. for a talk by John Hislop, Golf 7 Oscar Hotel Oscar, and Matt Payne, Mike 0 Lima Mike Kilo. They're from the Hilderstone Radio Society. John and Matt will be talking about their experiences of communicating with the International Space Station. On Wednesdays, Crystal Palace Radio and Electronics Club has a net on 145.525 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Saturdays the club has a net on 51.550 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Sundays, Darenth Valley Radio Society has a net on 145.475 MHz at 8 a.m. Dorking and District Radio Society has a net each day from Monday to Saturday on 144.775 MHz FM at 10 a.m. Essex Ham has a net on Monday, that's via the Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha repeater from 8 p.m, and they have chat room and audio feed available at essexham.net. On Wednesday, Fareham and District Amateur Radio Club is having a club night, and for more information about the club visit fareham-darc.co.uk. On Sundays, Felixstowe and District Amateur Radio Society has a net on 145.400 MHz from 10 a.m. and Wednesday sees a net via the Golf Bravo 3 India Hotel repeater from 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, Fort Purbrook Amateur Radio Club has an open net starting on 145.275 MHz at 7:30 p.m. before moving to Golf Bravo 3 Sierra Hotel repeater at 8 p.m. On Tuesday, Harlow and District Amateur Radio Society is having a technical evening, and on Wednesday there'll be a net on 145.425 MHz from 7:30 p.m. On Friday, the Society is meeting from 8 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend. Hastings Electronics Radio Club holds a daily net on the Golf Bravo 3 Echo Sierra repeater from 10 a.m. They also have a Morse code net which is held on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on 144.575 MHz. The Morse code net is aimed at anyone new to Morse code or wishing to brush up on their Morse skills. Non-members are welcome to take part, and the net is followed by general conversation. On Wednesdays, usually at 1 p.m, members meet up at various locations in the area for an afternoon of portable radio on the air, both using HF and VHF on SSB, Morse code and FM, and again, non-members are welcome to take part. The details do vary each week, so please visit hastings-electronics-radio-club.com on Wednesday mornings, where you'll be able to view up-to-date information about the location and time of the meeting. Hog's Back Amateur Radio Club usually meets on the second and fourth Mondays of the month at the Crondall Scout Centre, that's on Pankridge Street in Crondall. On Sundays, Horndean and District Amateur Radio Club has a Morse code net. That's at 9 a.m. around 1950 kHz, then moving across to SSB, and that's at 9:30 a.m. There's also an 8 p.m. net on 433.450 MHz, and on Monday they gather on 1950 kHz from 7:30 p.m. The net then moves to 145.375 MHz on Wednesday, starting at 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, Horsham Amateur Radio Club is meeting to listen to a talk by Andy, Golf 8 Tango Juliet Quebec, entitled Deception as a Service, 1991 to 2024. On Sundays, the Isle of Wight Radio Society has a net via Golf Bravo 7 Papa Oscar and Golf Bravo 7 Mike Tango from 8 p.m. The Society has a net on Monday to Friday via the Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey repeater from 6:15 a.m. and on Tuesday the Society takes part in the Bramble net. That's held via the Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey repeater starting at 7:30 p.m. Then on Thursday they have another net via GB2RS followed by a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. And on Fridays members meet at the Haylands Farm, that's in Ryde, and foundation and intermediate license training is available at those meetings. Loughton and Epping Forest Amateur Radio Society has a net on Wednesday from 8 p.m. That's held on Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 23511. Thursday sees a net from 8 p.m. on 144.725 MHz FM, and from 8 p.m. on Friday members meet at All Saints House for an end-fed half-wave antenna build-a-thon. Lower Stofton District and Pi Amateur Radio Club has a net on Sundays. That's on 433.575 MHz from 8 p.m. Then on Tuesday they have a net from 145.475 MHz at 8 p.m. and the club meets on Thursday evenings from 7:30 p.m. The last net of the week is on Friday, and that's at 8 p.m. and that's held on 51.490 MHz. The Martello Tower Group has a net night every Monday evening at 8 p.m. via the Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Lima repeater, and on Sundays the group has a net via the Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Echo repeater from 8 p.m. Medway Amateur Receiving and Transmitting Society nets take place every weekday from 9:30 a.m. on 144.650 MHz. On Monday, Milton Keynes Amateur Radio Society is meeting for a shack night. Norfolk Amateur Radio Club has a net via the Golf Bravo 3 November Bravo repeater. That's every Monday from 7:30 p.m. and that's followed by a Morse code net on 3.543 MHz at 8:30 p.m. On Monday, Peterborough and District Amateur Radio Club has a net on 1.980 MHz from 8 p.m. and Tuesday their net is on 145.450 MHz from 8 p.m. Shefford and District Amateur Radio Society will be closed this Thursday as their meeting place is being used for local elections. But you can still keep in touch on their Monday net, which is at 7 p.m. on 1985 kHz lower sideband, or their Wednesday net, which is at 8 p.m. on Wednesday through Golf Bravo 3 Papa India. For more information about the society, you can visit their website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. On Wednesday, Southdown Amateur Radio Society is having a cafe meeting at 12:15 p.m. and on Friday the society is meeting at the Old Town Community Centre in Eastbourne from 8 p.m. Stevenage and District Amateur Radio Society meets every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. at the Stevenage Resource Centre. That's on Chells Way, Stevenage, and the postcode is Sierra Golf 20 Lima Tango. Free tea, coffee and biscuits are provided for everyone attending, and a club net is usually organised each Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. That's on 145.450 MHz. They have another net on Thursday evenings on the 80 metre band around 3.727 MHz, normally using the club call sign Golf 3 Sierra Alpha Delta. And you can find more information about the club on their website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.com. On Sundays, the Surrey Radio Contact Club has a net on 1.905 MHz at 9:30 a.m. Monday's net is on 3.710 MHz LSB starting at 9 a.m. Then on Tuesday, they have a net on 51.550 MHz. That starts at 8 p.m. On Friday, the net moves to JS8 mode. That's at 10 a.m. on 28.078 MHz. Then on Thursday, the net is on 70.300 MHz from 8 p.m. Then on Friday, they have a D-Star net on 144.6125 MHz at 7:30 p.m. and an FM net at 8 p.m. on 145.350 MHz. On Sundays, West Kent Amateur Radio Society has a net on 28.730 MHz from 11 a.m. On Monday, they meet on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Friday, the net is on 145.3125 MHz from 8 p.m. On Tuesday, Worthing and District Amateur Radio Society meets at 7 p.m. and for more information, visit the club's website, which is Whiskey Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Charlie.org.uk. Well, that ends this week's GB2RS News broadcast, which was brought to you by Graham Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta. The news was compiled by the Radio Society of Great Britain, which represents amateur radio and radio amateurs within the United Kingdom and worldwide. Please email your news items for GB2RS, Radcom Magazine and the RSGB website to the editorial team as far in advance as possible, please, to radcom@rsgb.org.uk. The RSGB retains the copyright over the material transmitted. You can find information about amateur radio on our website, which is rsgb.org, and you can also download the full schedule of GB2RS broadcasts from rsgb.org/GB2RS schedule. GB2RS isn't licensed for two-way communications, but I'll welcome calls after close down under my call sign Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta. So until next Sunday, 7/3, have a good week from the GB2RS News team. Hello, this is Graham, Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Mappishall, Bedfordshire, now listening for any calls.